Hey, this is Chris from Lamb of God, and a lot of people ask me about warm-up routines, and I play in triplet a lot, and they're curious as to how I've come up with the ability to get those things kind of precise, and so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that today. My warm-up routine is actually fairly mind-numbingly simple. What I'll do is I'll run a click track from any metronome into a headset, and I'll start at 155 BPM. And I'll basically do kicks at 16ths, running at that speed for 5 minutes straight, and which basically sounds like. During that time, I'm not really doing anything special with my hands, just kind of starting to, play a little bit here and there, hit a cymbal or two, not focusing on my hands, just kind of focusing on the muscles that I'm using, building the muscle memory, concentrating on my breathing. After the 5 minutes, I'll step it up to 160. I'll take a walk, take a stretch, and come back and do 5 minutes at 160. Same thing, no different at all. Same process, 165. Same process, 170. This normally I get up to about 185 before I'm spent, overly warmed up, and it takes me about maybe an hour and a half to do that. I'll do that before every show, and I know after I've done that, I'm certainly warm enough to go into any show that we're going to put on. It's faster than anything that I would do during the set, so I'm certainly warmed up. The muscles are ready to go. And as far as rehearsing at home, in the way that I've come up with some of these triplet ideas is that I started when I started touring with guys, I ran into a lot of guys that had taken lessons and gone to school, and they started talking all this crazy language about paradiddles and all these weird terms. I had no idea what they were talking about, but of course, paradiddle is a pretty simple one. It's a simple pattern that I learned with my hands. And what I ended up doing was applying that to my feet. It's basically a series of ones and twos, so in how I play, I use a lot of triplets, so it's all really the same. And so I'll just go back and forth with my feet. Again, using a click to try to keep a steady, get used to that, keeping a steady pace and get my body in tune with how things work at certain speeds. Always using a click. We don't use a click when we play live, but I'm certainly, the time I spend practicing with it has certainly made me a better and more steady drummer when we do play live. So the paradiddle with your feet would be the same as with your hands. And at different speeds, build that up. And that is basically what's enabled me to do a lot of the triplets with the kind of precise technique that I have sometimes, most nights. So it can go back and forth. You can flip it. You can start with your right foot, and then in the middle, switch to the left foot. So as the paradiddle ends, begin it with the other foot, such as this. And that's basically it. That's a technique that I used for a couple years, from maybe starting in 2003, that I still use at home now. Before the guys show up for rehearsal or whatever, I'll just turn on the click and just go back and forth, kind of get my legs warmed up. And that's really it. On our new record, Wrath, I focused quite a lot on my hand speed, which is not something that I was typically well known for on previous records. It was more of the kicks and the rhythms that I would come up with. So I spent a lot of times with the same methods, bumping up the BPMs little by little, 5 BPMs at a time, practicing different, just single stroke rolls, different fills, incorporating different things. Occasionally I would take a tom off of the kit. That way, leaving me with, if I got used to doing something a certain way, now I have to come up with a different way. And on accident, you run into new ways of doing things or new things you haven't thought of before, and that's a lot of my playing has come just by chance, just fooling around with no intention of coming up with anything special, but by accident coming up with something that sounds rather unique and then trying to learn how it was that I did that and follow it up. So, but basically the same thing, single strokes rolls at those tempos, and what I found was that even though it's very boring and very simple, once you begin at those slower speeds to build the muscle memory, it really enables you to have much more control at the higher speeds, and it helped me tremendously on the new record, Wrath. So check it out, enjoy. All right.